You're all here. All right, let the record reflect. We have reconvened with all members present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't think our pledge has ever sounded so good. Welcome, everyone. And we have no minutes for approval. We'll have that at the next meeting. And so we'll go right to greetings to the public. I've got a few things and a few proclamations to present, and that's why we have such a nice crowd here. First of all, I want to, we'll hear more from Pat Rowe, I'm sure, about Bottle Hill Day. It seems like already a long time ago since we had a long time in between meetings. But from moving it to recognize the Jewish holiday to moving it a week earlier, so we had a beautiful day instead of a rainy Saturday, to the crowds and everything. It was an incredible day, so I want to thank Lisa Ellis again for her leadership and the whole army of volunteers that makes that happen. It is a tremendous day in Madison. Also, on a sad note, I want to recognize the loss of one of our longtime residents, Carmela DiBiase, wife of Pat DiBiase. They were married 54 years ago. She passed just a few days ago. Her contributions to Madison included a longtime member of the League of Women Voters, but more importantly, one of the founders of the Christmas Fund that has made a difference in so many families' lives over the years. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the DiBiase family. Employee for the month of October, Russ Brown, for his compassionate assistance to a family in need by installing a generator at the Quozo home on his own time to ensure uninterrupted critical medical care for Mr. Quozo in the event of a power failure. As you know, he is our Madison resident who has was attacked by quite a virus that has left him paralyzed. And so the town has really reached out, and Russ Brown, as he usually does, has stepped forward to help out. Council report from the library. That's me delivering this report. The Madison Public Library will celebrate Halloween on Friday, October 24th. The Haunted Library will be featured from 4 to 6:15 p.m. There'll be a spooky time at the library featuring creepy, crawly activities, crafts, snacks, and a haunted corridor. At 5 p.m., Mad Science will present Evil Witch of Eggsylvania. And they've had lots of help from Madison Junior School and Madison High School students in preparing for this event, which they certainly appreciate. And Madison children are invited to join the fun on October 24th. And two interesting programs for adults are Paul Roberson, a Chautauqua with Marvin Jefferson, scheduled for Sunday, October 26th at 2 p.m. And on Wednesday, November 12th at 7 p.m., Harry Ettlinger, a real veteran of Monuments Men, will speak about his experiences during World War II. Also want to recognize, I have a little placard here, certifying the Borough of Madison has earned silver level recognition for New Jersey Smart Workplaces program. So it's certainly an honor to have that. And I also want to point out we have, before I do our proclamations, quite a bit of pink in the room, and not only does it represent the Rosettes gymnastics team, but it represents the month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you'll see the council members, either pink ties, pink ribbons, some sort of pink. I'll show you a little bit more of my pink when I come down below. But we did a proclamation last month, and I just want to share this one post just to bring awareness to breast cancer and how important it is that we continue to work so hard and to attack this disease. But this post on Facebook came from a friend of mine. His wife is in her mid-30s and had breast cancer. His wife's identical twin worked for me at the YMCA, so you can imagine the ripple effect of having your twin with breast cancer and what goes through your mind. And I couldn't say it any better than the way he put it. So please let me read through this. I hope nobody has been holding their breath for an update, because this one is long overdue. The last month or so has been good and bad, but mostly good though. One of the side effects of chemo can be slow wound healing. The entire body is attempting to recover from chemo, so there is not a lot of extra resources for wound recovery. We never really thought of it this way, but it is a true sense that repairing and replacing cells damaged by chemo taxes the body in nearly the same manner as recovering from a wound. And about life after cancer. It doesn't even feel like we should be saying after yet. It is hard to get into that mentality that it is gone. I wake up every morning and wonder which step is next. In some ways, it's like a strange dream, where you blink and suddenly everything is gone. Yes, we still see the plastic surgeon every week. We have medical bills to cover, daycare and kids to tend to. The physical effects are still very real and serve as a powerful reminder that cancer is never really over. The lasting effects of the treatment will affect the rest of Allison's life. There never will be a day that she forgets about cancer. We have a desire to change our life. We want to move past where we were prior to cancer, but at the same time, at least I feel stuck. While I have no doubt that she is cured, I still find myself thinking of a future without her. Can we move? Will I be able to take care of the 3 kids by myself? Where will I get help? All these thoughts constantly pull back at the back of my mind, and they are simply paralyzing. Should I move closer to my office? I would love to, but I don't know if we can or should. I am elated that Allison beat cancer, but terrified that there's a single cell lurking, waiting. Part of me wants her to have scans routinely checked. The reality, though, is catching cancer that has spread on a scan first has very little impact on survival. Only tends to keep patients in the fear that a tumor will return. So we watch for symptoms, bone pain, blood counts, tumor markers, chronic illnesses, headaches, changes in appetite. There's a whole lot of unknown when you finish your plan. It's anything but easy. So we venture forth and we explore our new normal. So, as I said, I couldn't have said it any better than this post. And so please, for the month of October, let's make sure all are aware about breast cancer and how we can, with early treatment, survive and continue to work for a cure. Okay, before I come down for other resolutions, one other little announcement. Trans Options on October 6th through October 26th is switch your solo car trips and win. So if you want to register, if you start carpooling, register at goforgood.transoptions.org. And so get the cars off the road. Excuse me, my notes are all over the place. Before I come down below, I just want one other proclamation that no one is here to accept is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I'll keep this brief, but obviously our world has changed quite a bit where not only do we worry about locking our house, we now worry about locking our personal information that may be on our cell phones or on our home computers. So October is hereby National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and if you go to stopthinkconnect.org, you can find more information about how to keep your life secure. You have Quest, Yep. So I got a microphone here that works. I understand we have a few gymnasts in the audience. I know this will be a little crazy, but as many as possible, come on forward and kind of stand right up here.
See if this makes the Guinness Book.
Well,
They look too healthy.
Normally, when we do proclamations, we give the recipients a chance to introduce themselves. We won't do that tonight, but keep on coming up, keep moving up. And if we can have our coaches up here too, come on around the side here, would be great. While they're filing up, fill in the middle there. What we love to do here in Madison is recognize excellence in performance. Last year, we recognized some of our high school teams for their championships. On Bottle Hill Day, we recognized the Fairleigh Dickinson women's basketball team for their undefeated season and their NCAA Division III national champion. And so today, we have national champions in our midst, and that is Madison Area YMCA gymnastics team, the Rosettes, competed in nationals. And so I have a proclamation which I will read, and then I have copies to hand to the coaches, so every gymnast will have a copy of their proclamation. Whereas gymnastics is primarily an individual sport based on, let me try that again. Whereas gymnastics is primarily an individual-based sport, but the Madison Area YMCA gymnastics team focuses on supporting one another through ups and downs, as well as hard work and dedication for each individual. And whereas the team has 17 gymnasts in level 3, 5 gymnasts in level 4, 15 gymnasts in level 6, 16 gymnasts in level 8, and 4 gymnasts in level 9. And whereas, I have to always read those whereases, that's part of my job here, then the YMCA National Gymnastics Championships were held in Tampa, Florida on July 1st through July 5th, 2014. And whereas over 1,800 gymnasts from 102 YMCA organizations competed in nationals, and whereas the Madison Area YMCA Rosettes Level 8 won the national championship and the Rosettes Level 9 placed second, and whereas the Rosettes are also New Jersey state champions, regional champions for New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and whereas some of the girls have been on the team for 10 years, practicing 9 to 12 hours per week throughout the school year, and even more when nationals approached. And whereas the team has a very dedicated coaching staff consisting of Ellen Gavin, Vladimir the Professor Polexic, Christina Lopez, Meredith Valentine, Cassandra Baumgartner, Carly Wallach, and Kristen Durning, training them all season. And now, therefore I, Robert H. Conley, the Mayor of the Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, hereby congratulate the members of the Gymnastics Rosettes for the achievements in winning the YMCA National Gymnastics Championship for their commitment, dedication, outstanding teamwork in reaching this goal. And I have Coach Ellen Gavin standing right next to me and say a few words.
I would like to thank all the parents. Okay, I would like to thank all the parents. Without their support, this could not run smooth. All my coaching staff, who do a great job, and of course, my favorite, my gymnast.
So thank you, girls. Congratulations. Madison is very proud of you. Thank you very much. Here, Christina, I want to... Yes, come on. We'll get you the framed copy to put in the gymnastics center. You're all here for the whole meeting, but we understand if you... Thank you for coming and joining us tonight.
Good job, girls. You guys, have a good day.
Oh, yeah?
She went back and talked for 7 years.
No, this team's they've obviously done tremendously well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Cool, they also have a lot of people involved, which is a nice thing. It's still Brooke up left.
I think so. I don't know. Robert.
Oh, Robert's here.
Sounds good. Okay, that was a proud moment.
Different from
I just let a very captive audience go by, but just a reminder that if you saw the artwork as you came in, lined up on there, that's for the DDC art auction, and we have Deb Starker here in the audience. So MACA presents this every year. So come here this Friday night, and you're able to bid, and actually the bids are open now, so you can go out and start placing your silent bid, auction bids. Let's move on to reports from committees. Health, Mr. Landrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two items which have been in the news a lot lately. First is the enterovirus EV-D68. We're going to be putting a lot of this information up on the website, but I just wanted to recap it briefly right now. First, it's a virus that could cause mild to severe respiratory illness. Children with asthma seem to have a higher risk. Now, what they're doing is they're telling people if you're on any type of respiratory medications, continue to take them. If you feel the condition is getting worse, seek medical attention immediately. It's hard. You're not going to hear half what I'm saying.
We'll try to get the girls moving down a little bit there.
You had to expect it. What are you going to do? They're excited.
Okay, that may be as good as we get
Okay.
for now. All right.
All righty. In general, they're recommending that people wash hands often with soap, avoid touching eyes, nose, mouth, and unwashed hands, and avoid a lot of physical contact. Now, more important is what's been in the news a lot lately. It's about Ebola. As OEM coordinator of the town, I receive regular updates from the CDC. Now, I did receive something today. I'm going to just read parts of it. This will also be up on the website, and just let me go through it. A person infected with Ebola can't spread the disease until symptoms appear, which is kind of scary unto itself. What they're saying is Ebola is spread through direct contact with blood and body fluids. Now, they're saying how can you protect yourself? Well, if you live in a crowded area, if I commute on the subways every day and on public transit, it's not that easy. But what they're recommending is do wash your hands often with soap and water, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Do not touch bodily fluids of other people who appear sick. That's common sense. Do not handle items that may have come in contact with a sick person. And then finally, do not touch the body of someone who has died from Ebola. Again, that's a lot of it's common sense. And then it says what to do if you're exposed to Ebola. It gives a lot of information here, but the bottom line is if you feel that you are sick after you've come back from an area with an Ebola outbreak, seek medical attention right away and tell the first responders and the hospital that you are exhibiting the symptoms and that you need transport. Now, what I will tell you is this. I'm going to be setting up for all first responders and a lot of the borough agencies in town, an emergency clinic where they can be briefed on how to handle potential Ebola cases. I'm not trying to raise a red flag. I'm not trying to cause panic because the odds of getting it right now are not that great. However, it's important to get ahead of it. So early next week, I'm going to have a representative come and speak about what I just talked about here. And it's going to be with all Madison first responders, ambulance, police, fire, as well as a number of our borough agencies, DPW, electric, and then also the sewer department. All those people could have potential exposure. I will be forwarding to the borough any information that I do get from the CDC, and if there is an incident near town, I will make sure that everybody is aware of it. All righty, and if anybody has any questions, My email address is on Rosenet. Feel free to email me with any questions you may have or any concerns. There is a protocol that we follow. I've already advised the ambulance corps about what the protocol is, as well as the police and fire departments. So if you have any concerns, please let me know. I'm more than happy to go over it with you. And if I don't have the answers, I'll get them for you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works and Engineering, Mr. Catanello.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Leaf collection is due to begin in the next 2 weeks. We will be advertising pickup dates, et cetera, in the newspaper shortly. As it pertains to roads, the 2014 Road Improvement Program curb, sidewalk, and drainage improvements were completed on North Street over the past 2 weeks. Milling and paving work for the remaining 5 roads will be accomplished by the end of the month. Tilcon paving and DL curbing contracts were completed over the past 2 weeks for Division, Union Hill, the eastern part of Woodland, and Prospect from Maine to Kings. Also, statewide striping was hired to complete the striping contracts for those streets. Special thanks to the police department for their outstanding coverage of the job site and through public messaging via the Nixle system. New Jersey Department of Transportation and Della Pello contractors have completed the majority of milling and paving work on Main Street, Route 124 in Madison. Permanent striping contracts will be initiated when the paving crew completes work in the northwest-bound lane in Morristown. Gen Electric is in the process of installing 2 solar speed radar signs as traffic calming devices on Rosedale near the parks and on Greenwood Avenue entering the borough from the highway overpass. There have been informal community meetings with the Oak Court residents on September 15th regarding parking and school bus access, with Central Ave residents October 1st regarding speed control and traffic calming. The borough is addressing the issues raised by coordinating a plan of improvement with the residents, adjoining towns, and the county as necessary. The North Street Pump Station, my favorite pump station. The new pad mount transformers have been received and electric conduits have been installed with the concrete pads for the new transformers. It is anticipated that the wires will be pulled and transformers will be set prior to the end of the month. Special thanks to the cooperation of the electric, water, and DPW staff for work on this project. HVA system at the library, ceiling and lighting repairs designed by EI Associates for this project was advertised on October 2nd, 2014, and the schedule anticipates receiving bids on November 13th for the project with an early spring construction. Finally, the Waverly Green parking lot is being drafted this time, anticipating a fall bid and late spring construction. Administration will be sending an announcement to individual property owners joining the repaving project. The borough welcomes involvement of the adjoining owners and tenants in the repaving. Finally, one more. The Utility Study Committee meeting was held on October 8th at 7:30. Strategic Planning Capital Committee meeting is scheduled for October 23rd at 7 p.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Utilities, Ms. Vitale.
Thank you, Mayor. The Madison Water Department is now, for the next 6 weeks, flushing out fire hydrants and water mains. So that program is started on Monday, October the 13th, which is a few days ago. So just be sure that during this particular time, you may experience a temporary loss of pressure or slight discoloration for a short period of time. If it lasts longer than a short period of time, please call the water department, and we'll take care of that. So the other items that they've been working on is that they're really doing a lot of work with repairing and shut-offs for homeowners or contractors. They're repairing valves on Arlena Court. There was a water main tap for new services. There were 2 services on Bellow Avenue, brand new homes. The chlorine maintenance of equipment at the wells is ongoing. Ongoing is markouts for utilities, homeowners, contractors, and other utilities. Lots of meter replacements and installations, shut off of service for demos that are happening across the town. Water sample analysis is ongoing, so they're now doing one on volatile organic contaminants and total coliform. So they repaired packing at an A well treatment plant, and they actually dug and installed a conduit for the North Street pump station in Wells C, which was very important. And that project is moving on very, very well. The electric department, along with the water department, has been working on the North Street pump station, and they just completed the conduit installation there. They're also putting pole transfers and installation of three-phase transformer bank on Kings Road. They did the same thing on Alexander Avenue for the new Investor Bank building on Main Street in Alexander. And they're, on a continual basis, they install new poles, which new poles were done on Prospect Street and Garfield Avenue. And then, in the meantime, they have to complete their CPR and AED trainer refresher courses. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety, Ms. Bailey.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank the fire department because they have been sporting these pink shirts in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. They're also doing their job. Madison's fire department has a trench rescue team, one of the few in the county, and they were requested by the Boonton Township Fire Department to assist them at the scene of a trench collapse. Some of you may have read about it in the paper. Madison's fire department and many other mutual aid agencies worked for 8 hours and recovered the bodies of 2 workers who were killed in this collapse. And this year, Fire Prevention Week commenced October 5th and concluded October 11th. Each year, the Madison Fire Department joins the National Fire Protection Agency and many departments across the county to help spread the word about fire safety. Here in town, they have gone to hundreds of school children, seniors, and other groups talking about how to prevent fires, to check their their smoke detectors, and we should be checking them every month. And so that's, the fire department has also formed a partnership. Domino's offers free orders if your smoke detectors work properly in your house at the time of delivery. So our on-duty firefighters accompanied the Domino's delivery person to a residential home each night during Fire Prevention Week, and the program was a huge success for the fire department and for Domino's. And in the event, we found smoke detectors that were not working. They were either replaced or they installed new devices, so everybody would be protected in the home. From the police department, we want to congratulate our detectives for apprehending the person who broke into the Madison area YMCA in July. They found him and apprehended him and arrested him. And in September, the Madison Police Department assisted the Morris County Prosecutor's Office with the investigation and arrest of 16 individuals, not here in Madison, only one from Madison, involved in a drug distribution operation. And we also want to congratulate our recently hired officer, Patrolman Burns, who just started his training up at the Police Academy. From the Joint Court, we just recently met. There are 5 towns that comprise the Joint Court, and Madison is the host community. It consists of Madison, Chatham, Chatham Township, Harding, and Morris Township. We are doing very well. We're meeting our budget, and the towns are saying that the new Joint Court has created efficiencies in their systems. It's all good. And Complete Streets met September 24th. The discussion items included development updates on the Park Avenue corridor and the development of office buildings on Florham Park property, and the need for traffic calming and sidewalks, particularly in the Danforth area. The summer interns also did a sidewalk survey, and from this we're going to create an up-to-date sidewalk improvement program and schedule. Other issues that were discussed at the meeting were the traffic calming and improved signage for Central Avenue and Oak Court. We also had a very productive meeting with the residents from the Central Avenue area. The county came and Madison officials to discuss safety measures, particularly for the upper section of Central Avenue, including more signage, sidewalks, a crossing guard for Fairview and Central, so we're now working with the county, and it looks like that, we will go forward and make sure these are in place. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Wolkowitz.
Thank you, Mayor. KRE, the developers of the Green Village Road property, have started making the agreed-on $12,500 a month payments to the borough, which in and of itself is quite nice, but there's even a better piece of news from them, and that is that they may well appear before the planning board with at least concept plans as soon as November. So whereas we thought there was some chance they would sit on the property for a while, it appears they want to get it going very soon, and that's a good thing. Our CFO, Robert Caliphate, will talk about this in more detail, but every year there is a community affairs questionnaire that's compiled by the State Division of Local Government Services, and depending on how you answer it, you may, as a municipality, be eligible for 100% of state aid or somewhat less than that. Yet again, we will be eligible for 100%, so good news all around. And then the tax assessor completed her added assessment process to capture improvements to properties this year, and in process added $28 million to our ratables list. So I thought a number of properties were looking spiffier, but I had no idea it was that much. That's quite a substantial sum. And in addition, the tax assessor, along with the administration, is working with the Morris County Board of Taxation on a reassessment of the Giralda Farms properties to capture additional assessments there. And we believe that one single property, Maersk, which was recently sold, may well generate an additional $33.5 million in assessed value on the borough's books. So those last two things, adding substantial amounts of assessed value to the borough's books, is a good thing, because if our tax liability remains unchanged, we have that much more to spread it against. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Affairs, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the Senior Center Advisory Committee, distribution of decals and information cards to local merchants for the Madison Access Program is almost complete. Stores along downtown, as well as Madison, the east end of town, were visited by SCAC members. The goal is to remind merchants that uncluttered aisles and welcoming staff go a long way towards improving the shopping experience for all. The SCA would also like everyone to take time out to thank owners who are displaying the decals for their cooperation with the program. The committee will also be hosting Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise at 10 a.m. this Saturday at the Civic Center. Thomas Murphy will be discussing probate, wills and trusts, Medicaid, and other topics of interest to seniors, families, and caregivers. Van service is being provided, and pre-registration is encouraged. For the Downtown Development Commission, as the mayor previously mentioned, Bottle Hill Day 2014 was an amazing success. We had a gorgeous day with over 226 vendors and what appeared to be our biggest crowd ever. We want to thank Lisa Ellis, who coordinates the entire event, Jerry Veza and Joanna Habib of MACA for coordinating the 3 live stages of music, and the Madison Music Association for putting on talented students on the 4th stage. The DDC would also like to thank the Beer Garden Chairs, Russ Stern, Mike Kopass, and Mark Fabianski for raising over $12,000 for future DDC projects. Next, as many of you came in, and as the mayor also mentioned tonight, you have the Sidewalk Art Gallery Gala and Auction that's being sponsored by MACA and the DDC. It will take place this coming Friday evening. The VIP hour runs from 7 to 8, and patrons who purchase those tickets will be able to mix and mingle with the artists in a more intimate gathering. At 8 o'clock, the event opens to the general public. Also on hand will be Lamb's Artillery. They'll be firing their cannons at 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. from the front steps of Hartley Dodge. So be aware that that's going to be happening. The 8:30 cannon will signal that the silent auction is over, and the live auction will begin in the courtroom. And finally, from the DDC, on Saturday, November 15th, the DDC and YMCA have partnered to bring the first annual Madison Downtown Scavenger Hunt. The event will send teams all over downtown Madison, learning local history while being active. For the less mobile, there's also an indoor scavenger hunt with the same great clues, but limited to the confines of the Y. The impetus of this partnership and scavenger hunt is to create an event that is inclusive of our entire community, particularly with our active older adults. And finally, back of the page from the Chamber of Commerce, one event, they're sponsoring their Halloween Hoopla on Saturday, October 25th, starting at 12:15 p.m. Children and their parents are invited to attend a costume parade, followed by a magic show and trick-or-treating in the downtown area.
The parade participants will meet at the GVR Field. Parade will start at 12:30 p.m. sharp, and finishing up on Waverly Place. At 1 o'clock, there's going to be a magic show at the corner of Waverly and Lincoln. In case of rain, it'll be moved to the gym at the Central Lab School. And finally, from 1:30 to 3 p.m., children in costumes are invited to trick-or-treat throughout the downtown business district. Participating stores will display a bright orange and black jack-o'-lantern in their windows, and also Madison Photo Plus at 40 Main Street has generously offered to take a free photo of each child in their costume. Details are available at Madison Photo on that day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Communications and petitions?
Thank you, Mayor. None received.
All right. We are now on to our first of two invitations for discussion from the public. This is the one that is limited to items on the agenda. And so to go through the guidelines on this, I see some new faces in the audience. We'll have a second invitation for discussion later in the meeting when you may comment on anything, and those items are not restricted to items on the agenda. So what we have on the agenda tonight on the, under number 13, the first three items have been removed, which is the bond sale, the Oak Court parking regulations, and open space report. What is still on the agenda is school crossing guards, amendment to Chapter 94-2, which is increased charge for utility service restoration. Next item is Narcan program from the Madison Police Department, and then our 2014 best practices checklist will be covered, as Mr. Wolkowitz alluded to, or you may comment on any of the resolutions that are listed. Ordinances that are on the agenda, you will have an opportunity to comment on those during the hearing, so those are not part of this discussion time. I do know that we have several residents from the Green Village Road neighborhood with concerns related to an incident a couple of weeks ago relating to a dog bite, and I'll ask our borough attorney to comment on what has happened and what will be happening. But again, if any comments on that have to be held off until our next comment period later in the agenda. So, Matt, if you can cover that, please.
Good evening. Just to bring everyone up to speed, there was an incident involving a dog and an attack several weeks ago. What the governing body can do is very limited. There is a statute in New Jersey that deals with dogs, dog bites, declarations of dangerous dogs, vicious dogs. What's happened right now is two different summonses have been issued to the dog owner. That is scheduled to be heard in the municipal court on October 29th before the municipal judge. This body here does not govern that. That's governed by the state statutes that afford the municipal judge the power to make findings and conditions for a dog. The borough prosecutor will be prosecuting those cases on behalf of the state, and it'll be ultimately determined by the judge. Just so people know, the dog was subject to an order of quarantine for the statutory 10-day period. And again, people ask, can the borough do that? We can't. It's the animal control officer who is statutorily empowered to make the determination to impound a dog or not impound a dog. We're not licensed and we can't make that determination. What we have done is that we've met with the Board of Health. The Board of Health has contacted the state. They've contacted Bedford, Massachusetts, where this dog came from, to find out if the dog had been involved in any other incidents. We've confirmed that the dog has not been involved in other incidents. We've confirmed that the dog is properly licensed and up to date on all shots. We have had the police chief meet with the dog's owner to reiterate the importance of making sure the dog is secured and the legal ramifications if the dog is not secured, what will happen. We've done all of these things. We've also made sure that the fencing, etc., is in place to make sure that this dog is contained. What we would ask is we're not going to comment on the specifics or the merits of the case. That's going to be adjudicated in the court of law on the 29th, and ultimately the judge will decide the merits of the case. I know the prosecutor has actually met with the individual who was injured to get a victim impact statement, and will be making an application to the court to have the court consider the victim impact statement. So that's where we are, and Be assured that the town, the Board of Health, the Police Department takes these matters seriously, and the municipal prosecutor will be taking this matter very seriously on the 29th in court. Thank you.
Thank you. So anyone, again, wishing to comment on that has to wait until later in the agenda, but this agenda probably will move fairly quickly. But if anyone wishes to comment on the items I outlined just a few minutes ago or any resolutions, you may step up to the lectern, state your name, your address, and the agenda item or the resolution you are commenting on, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Yep, come on up.
Hi, I'm Deb Starker, 30 Beverly Road, Madison. I want to just make a few more comments, say a few more things about this auction, and thank you, Mayor Connolly, and thank you, Councilman Rowe, for your remarks earlier. This really has been a fabulous collaboration. It's really a joint venture between MACA and the Downtown Development Commission. There's been a lot of partnership going on here, which I think is really, really wonderful, and just shows you what this kind of what this town can do. Everyone just gets involved. Creative placemaking is a thing that we really spend a lot of time thinking about, and this is just shows you what we can do and how wonderful this place is. So the banners, I brought a few with me. Those small little placards you see out there by no means are representative, but these are others that are here. And Saturday night, 7 o'clock.
Friday night.
Friday night.
Friday.
I have no, I have no idea what day today is. I keep thinking
I know the
it's
feeling.
Tuesday. 7 o'clock. We do have VIP tickets out there, so if you would like to come, we will give you some complimentary VIP tickets. I hope everyone here has some VIP tickets. But it's a great evening, a great cause, and the artists will be there. And I just want to thank everyone for all the work that they have done. I mean, this is just really wonderful, so thanks.
Thank you. Yes, another great thing we see in Madison, and an example of the great talent we have in our town. Anyone else wishing to comment on items on the agenda? Seeing none, I close this part of the agenda, and we move on to our discussion items. And the first one is crossing guards. Osprey Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. As liaison to the police department, crossing guards are part of the police department budget, and we appreciate our guards and all that they do, making sure our children are safe. And we want to look at compensating them fairly during the 2015 budget. So what I'm asking the council for is consensus to discuss the compensation and benefits in the 2015 budget hearings, and also to request that the chief of police, in order to do this, we need to conduct a salary survey of the benefits, the number of guards of neighboring towns and like towns in preparation for that discussion. So that's what I'm asking for.
Comments, or say, Carmela and then Bob?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up, Austri, because I think one of the most important things is that the crossing guards are treated as fairly as all of our other members of the borough and employees. I'm happy to see, and I talked to Chad yesterday, Chad Ripka, and he was working very diligently on the salary survey, and I think that's real important. But I also said to him that I thought that it would be a good recommendation that as they're looking at the salary survey, is that they look at different areas. Now, one of the things that we talked about, when Central Avenue, a group of people came, about a school crossing guard up at Fairview. Now, is there any place else that there's a need? And I'd really like to see if we need to start expanding the school guards for obvious reasons. I think a lot of what is happening now is that neighborhoods are changing. And we see it with Central Avenue. I was down Niles Avenue the other day, And those neighborhoods have changed dramatically. A lot of empty nesters have left, and now we have families moving in with 2 or 3 children. So that gives us a different perspective on how we have to deal with traffic calming and whatever. And so I'd like to know if there's any other spots other than what we decided we would do on Central Avenue.
We did ask that
Yeah,
of
okay.
Chad, and I will reiterate it to him.
And one of the things that may be put in there is, as he's doing the survey, is see if towns have policies or policies or guidelines in place for analyzing the shifting of guards, because as was pointed out, the patterns in the neighborhood do change. Children get older and younger children move back in again. And so rather than reactive, how are we proactive in making sure we're on top of it? So if we add that to the study.
Okay.
Bob?
Thank you, Mayor. I echo a lot of what Carmela said, but I also want to mention something else. I think it's very prudent, and I think it's a good move to do this along with the police looking at their budget. This will have an impact on it because they're going to have to balance the staffing and compensation along with their needs for additional police officers and their salary requirements. So I think this is the right way to go. I know the budget process happens pretty soon. We're going to be starting it in a few months. So I'm fully support this. I think they should be fairly compensated, and I think this is the right way to do it.
Other comments? Okay, so we'll move forward and have this, make sure it's timely for the budget process as pointed out.
They're working on it now.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is amend Chapter 94-2, Appendix B of the Borough Code to increase charge for utility service restoration. Right?
I can handle that, Mayor. The current ordinance provides for a $25 fee if someone's utility service is disconnected and has to be reconnected at a later date. There's been some customers who are chronically in that situation, and the cost of us doing those reconnections exceeds the charge that we impose. So what this allows is the flexibility for the utility collector to charge for a residential reconnection instead of $25 up to $100, and for a commercial, which is a much more elaborate process, up to $250. And that we're recommending it for your consideration.
Comments, thoughts? This is introduction. This ordinance is up for introduction, if everyone is fine with where it stands. Okay. The Narcan program for the Madison Police Department. Is Chief here? Nope.
Chief is not here, but I can handle that. This is a initiative that the county prosecutor has signed off on. It's a voluntary program for police departments throughout the county, and it's a program that if an individual is suffering from some form of a drug overdose, primarily heroin, this is a antidote that's administered by a first responder. In order to participate, there's a specified training initiative. That's the subject matter of this contract. It's a lifesaver, and we'd like our first responders, in particular the police department, to have the ability, and we'd like to expand it to the ambulance squad and the fire department as this rolls out. And we'll be one of the first police departments in the county to take advantage of this program. And this is a contract with Atlantic Health for $1 a year to train our first responders in the use of this life-saving antidote for someone suffering an overdose.
Bob? And Bob, then Austria, then Ben. Sorry, I looked right first this time. Next, I'll make sure look left. Go ahead, Bob.
What Ray said is 100% right. I've seen Narcan used in the field. It does save lives. It's amazing that somebody is going through an overdose. The minute that Narcan hits their system, they come around. It is a lifesaver. I'm very happy that the police department is doing this. The squad is also going through the training as well. I do know that, similar to epinephrine, they will probably have to practice under the license of a physician at Atlantic Hospital. So, if anything, I can give you a hand with that. But this is a great first step, absolutely.
Okay, Austria, and then Ben.
Thank you, Mayor. Will the entire force be trained? Yes. Okay, good.
Ben?
Yes, actually, Councilman Ladringen's statement answered my question. So
All right,
thank
very
you.
good. Any other comments or questions? Okay, this is Resolution 279, which is on the consent agenda. All right, 2014 Best Practices Check. I don't know what it is tonight. I guess a Wednesday meeting my mouth is not used to. So, checklist. Robert. It's Robert Califoot, our Chief Financial Officer.
On September 10th of this year, I received Local Finance Bulletin 2014-16 that requires the governing body of each municipality to discuss in a public meeting the best practices inventory. This is, I believe, the fourth year that we have been required to submit this. There are 50 questions. There were 14 new this year. We were able to answer yes, not applicable, or prospective to 45 of them. We did answer no to 5. I want to address each of those 5 and why. Question number 7 deals with municipalities' collective bargaining agreements that replace contracts expiring on or after January 1st, 2011. We are charged with an overall impact of the aggregate economic costs limited to an average increase of 2% or less per year. We do not have, all of our contracts are not 2% or less. And that's, the main reason is due to the steps within the body of the contract. So we had to answer no to that. Question number 8 deals with FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System. The question was, does your municipality have, or is your municipality in the process of obtaining a community rating system ranking of at least Class 9? We had our borough engineer research this. And for a community to be eligible, it must be in full phase compliance with the NFIP, which is the National Flood Insurance Program Community. And Madison is not eligible for that. So we had to answer no to that. Question number 15 addresses the audit findings. And the question is, were there repeat findings? And yes, there were. There was one which regarding segregation of duty. The segregation of duty, there were 2 items. One, having a centralized collection system, which we currently do not have, but we will be exploring that, and also the segregation of duties regarding bank reconciliation. So we were required to answer no to that one. Question number 20 deals with filing of the annual debt statement. Did we file it on or before January 31st? I filed it on February 4th. I had to answer no to that, and I had to rethink why I filed it late. And I had a series of medical issues that I was dealing with falling and bleeding and nosebleeds in the office, and so I missed some time. And then lastly, question number 25 deals with procurement cards. Using these procurement cards to purchase goods and services, and we are not participating in that program, so we would answer no to that one as well.
And Ben?
You indicated that we answered yes to 45.
Yes?
What's the minimum number you have to answer yes to qualify
41.
for 100%?
41.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much for addressing that. And we have Resolution 280 on the consent agenda. All right, we're now on to the next item on the agenda, which is ordinances for hearing. May the clerk please read the statement.
Okay, Ordinance 49, 2014, was scheduled for hearing, was introduced by title and passed on first reading at a regular meeting of the council held on September 22nd, 2014. It was posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinance 49-2014 for second reading and ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Madison, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 145 entitled Property Maintenance, Article 2, Vacant Residential and Non-Residential Premises.
I open the hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to comment on ordinance 49-2014? Please step to the lectern. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 49-2014.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
Council discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. Catalonello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 49-2014 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. And now we're on to our second opportunity for discussion. As I mentioned before, you may comment on anything. So please step up to the lectern if you wish to comment. State your name, your address, write the same on the clipboard, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Christine Sherman. I live on Central Avenue. As you probably know, Grace, Jessica, and I represent a coalition of 210 Central Avenue and vicinity residents who signed a petition last month advocating for traffic safety measures in our neighborhood. At the initiative of a borough administrator, Mr. Ray Cody, we met with town and county officials on October 1st. Mayor Conley presided the meeting. We would like to thank you, the town, for the actions that it has taken and is planning to take to calm traffic on Central Avenue. The new solar radar signs, the new or repainted crosswalks, chevrons, slow lettering, and bicycle stripping will go a long way in improving safety and slowing traffic. We also welcome the planned posting of a crossing guard at the corner of Fairview and Central. Finally, we were pleased to hear that the county was going to add pedestrian and wheelchair signs along Central Avenue. Participants to the October 1st meeting, having raised the issue of sidewalks, the mayor and the council members that were present, I guess, have voiced their support in favor of installing sidewalks on Central Avenue, and we are thrilled to learn that this project will be included in budgetary discussions. However, to be fair to all the signatories of the petition, which didn't include a request for sidewalks, I should mention that sidewalks are not supported by all residents. For many, the speed of traffic was and remains the main concern. On that subject, we also thank the borough for its support in favor of lowering the speed limit from the current 35 miles per hour. It became clear during the October 1st meeting and subsequent email exchanges that the decision can only be made by the county freeholders themselves. The county engineer's office doesn't make policy decisions, and in any case is extremely reluctant to go beyond the 85th percentile rule. What it means is this: if there's a speed survey going on Central right now. If the speed survey results show that 85% of vehicles traveling on Central Avenue If the speed survey results show that 85% of vehicles travel Central Avenue in the 35 miles per hour range, no change can be enacted. To lower the limit to 25 miles per hour, the survey results would have to show that 85% of vehicles travel Central Avenue in the 25 miles per hour range. The posted limit being 35 miles per hour, there is little chance of this happening. So we need a political decision from the county, and the involvement of our elected representatives in the borough is going to be essential if we want to succeed. The town of Cranford in Union County went through a similar struggle regarding Walnut Avenue and got the speed limit changed in 2013, in many ways thanks to the township's involvement. In view of the uphill battle we are still facing to lower the speed limit, we would like to ask you for your suggestions on how we can proceed together from now on. For example, we will be at the next public freeholders meeting and would welcome a representative of the borough at our site. This would give a bigger impact to our presence there. Please let us know if that is a possibility or if you think that other actions should be taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time for leading the neighborhood and sharing your concerns. It's not always easy stepping forward. So Christine, we thank you for that. So we will, obviously, as you mentioned, the speed studies are underway. We will make sure they we share those with the county. As you pointed out, we don't necessarily need to wait for the county to take action, that we can be somewhat proactive and make requests. So as these speed counts come in, we will look at it. And as you remember, as I mentioned at the meeting last week about sidewalks, for those that have them in front of their house, they defend them to the bitter end, and for those that don't have them, they fight them. So we understand that it would not be universal, but I think as we work with the county, if the road is narrowed, that is a great opportunity to put new sidewalks in. If the road stays at the same width, it's kind of a catch-22. It almost makes the sidewalks more valuable. So we'll need to work and figure out exactly where that falls. And as we do any road reconstruction, we have neighborhood hearings, so we'll get input from everyone involved. And so Ray, you've got the kind of things. Yep, got the list, and we'll share it all with the freeholders. And don't know whether we'll have a representative at the meeting, but we'll make sure that the freeholders and the engineers have all the information and what we'd like to see. So thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Yes.
Your Honor, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me this chance to speak. I live on 15 Maple Avenue, which I'm practically a neighbor.
And your name, please? Sorry.
Yeah, I should come here more often. There is a problem.
You didn't state your name. We need to, for the records, state your name. We got your
I'm
address.
Vishwa Adlori.
Okay, thank you.
I live on 15 Maple Avenue.
Thank you.
And there is a drain pipe that goes through my front yard, but it belongs to the city. And this has collapsed in 2006. And there's a big hole. And we try to fill it and we try to cover it, but every time it rains, there's a huge torrent and it washes it away. The sinkhole is starting to spread. I'm an author and a professor, and my library is being affected every time it rains. I contacted the town engineer in 2006. I was told that the city does not know or acknowledge the existence of this system, and yet permits were granted to my neighbor, Ron Waxman, to drain into this system. In 2008, we retained an attorney to sort of mediate and tell me what to do, and the city engineer said that they would split the cost 50-50 with me to have this repaired. Nothing happened. In 2012, 6 years after this, they came and someone was assessing the taxes. They saw the problem. They said I had a huge problem. I asked them what to do, and they just shook their head. The taxes did go up, and I paid them happily, but I still have this problem. And in 2014, I contacted the town engineer again, and the town engineer said that the attorney was dead. And so I'm back where I began, and this has been going on for the longest time. So I appeal to the council to tell me what the proper course of action is. I cannot possibly take matters into my own hands and just dump concrete and block that off, because all the houses upstream will suffer for that. I do not have the ability or the resources to get the proper engineers. I do not know. It's a brick and mortar construction, probably left over from the time when we were really the Rose City. I'm at a loss, so please help me.
So what we'll do is, with our current borough attorney, we will pull out all the work that had been done prior, so we don't have to start from ground zero. We'll work with any of the attorneys that might have been involved, so we'll pull that information. We'll work with the engineer, and we'll have Ray and we can get back to.
Can I ask just one
Yep.
question? Who's your current attorney? Is it Mrs. Budd still, or
No,
Carlotta
it was
Budd?
Carlotta.
Right.
Yeah, but, yeah,
We
Carlotta.
tried to reach her because we had heard about
Yeah,
this. She's in Spain, so we weren't able to reach her.
Okay.
But there was an agreement prepared by our now deceased attorney that went
Yeah.
to her back at that time.
Okay.
That was never executed, and we never really got a response. So
Okay.
if we could revisit that through our new attorney, who's alive, and
I
whoever your
already
current
like
legal
him more.
representative is, and maybe, because we were willing to work together cooperatively, we just needed to have that agreement signed.
Thank you so much.
All right, if
and
you could
thank
give your
very
contact
much.
info, maybe to the clerk, or, we'll track you down. If your phone
Yeah.
number's there, we'll call you
So-
tomorrow.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, so thanks for your contact information, thanks for taking the time, and we will work this through.
Hi, I'm Ray Samori. I live on Stafford Drive. My wife Vicky was the victim of the attack on September 9th when the dog attacked her and our dog. And then on October 1st, there was another incident where the dog got out of the house again and nearly attacked a couple of children at St. Vincent's, chased one of them into the street on Green Village. My question, I have a couple of questions. First, I guess for Mr. Jacoby, is this hearing or trial, is this to see whether the dog is to be impounded?
Well, my understanding, and we're not going to engage in a dialogue, this is your time to comment, and I can comment afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's,
So
well,
why
that's
don't you
one
go
question.
through your questions, then when
Sure.
you're done, I'll try to
Okay, so
respond.
that's one question. Second question is, does this animal control officer report to anybody, or is he accountable to anybody in this room?
So we've got, so those two questions so far. Yep.
That's two questions. Then I guess this is a rhetorical question. If, you know, after the first incident, the dog wasn't impounded, and what I heard from the animal control officer directly was that he has to wait for the dog to attack again. And then there was another incident, and the dog was not impounded after that attack. I mean, what does it take? So we've seen a couple incidents where this dog gets out of his house, and it's not even that it's getting off a leash, it's just getting out of the house and, you know, going off. And I understand the town's taken a lot of action to try to prevent that from happening again. But meanwhile, I mean, my family does not walk on Green Village Road anymore. The kids are told to avoid at all costs. My wife doesn't, you know, she will drive that, you know, off the street to somebody else's house to walk the dog. And that, to me, just doesn't seem right. You know, to have this dog just still living there, and it doesn't sound like that, you know, anybody has any recourse to take this, you know, to take this matter up any further. And that, you know, that's the thing I don't understand. Whether, you know, is there anybody that this animal control officer reports to? Do the police reports go to anybody that, you know, can look at this and say, you know what, he screwed up. He should have done something. He should have taken more action. That's my question, I guess, to anybody in the room.
Actually, that'll be handled by the attorney. So the two questions were what is the process of the court?
Well, the first question was about the summonses. I'm not going to opine as to what the municipal judge will or won't do. My understanding is that the summonses that are before the judge are both failure to keep the dog on the leash. However, there is a police report in connection with the first summons. There's only one dog attack, and that was with your spouse on the 9th.
Right.
That does go before the judge, and the judge will consider that along with the summons that was issued. What the judge does, that's going to be up to the judge in his or her discretion. The statute that deals with potentially dangerous dogs and vicious dogs has a whole series of standards that have to be met for a dog to be declared dangerous, potentially dangerous, and or vicious. And that's something the judge will have to adduce. It's done by clear and convincing evidence, and it's done after the borough's prosecutor makes a presentation, and the dog owner, who also has counsel, will have the right to make a presentation and present evidence. So that ultimately is in court. The judge will make that determination, and the judge has a lot of discretion. The only person that has the discretion to make a declaration that the dog is potentially dangerous or vicious is a judge. No one here can. An animal control officer, what they can do is if they believe that a dog should be impounded, they have the right to impound the dog. No one in this room has that right to impound a dog. You're a dog owner, you understand people are, attached to their dogs. They
Yes.
become part of somebody's family. Unfortunately, I have a dog who everyone likes better than me in my family. My point being is that the law balances the interest of the dog owner and the people who potentially could get injured. And ultimately, the goal in the law is to make sure that there's not dangerous dogs out there that are going to hurt people or other dogs. If there is an injury, that's something the judge will take into consideration. In terms of your question regarding the animal control officer, that's a licensed person that's licensed by the State of New Jersey Department of Health that makes the determination of whether or not he or she believes the dog is dangerous. We contract with Milburn for an animal control officer who comes out and assesses the situation. We're aware of your concerns. We've shared it with our Board of Health, and we will share that with Milburn. But ultimately, we can't tell an officer, just like we can't tell a police officer to issue a ticket because we think that a ticket should be issued. It's up to that person who's a law enforcement official, in this case an animal control officer, to make that determination. For whatever reason, that they made the determination to quarantine the dog, but they did not impound the dog. That's not something that we can go back and tell them you now have to quarantine the dog. That's something that will be addressed with the municipal court judge, and the judge will make that determination as to what happens. If a judge makes a determination that a dog is potentially dangerous, there's a whole series of steps that the judge can take in terms of notification, signs, muzzling a dog, if the dog is outside, making sure it's fenced with a roof where they can't dig under. Those are all within the judge's arsenal of what he or she can do when they make that determination. But in order to get that, there are some certain criteria that the judge will consider when making that. And again, that's out of our bailiwick, that's with the court of law, and it would be inappropriate for anyone here, including the mayor, myself, Ray Cody, to reach out to the judge and say, you should do this. That would be highly improper. We have to let the judge hear the evidence and make the determination based on the evidence that's presented to him. And that's why I think you know that the municipal prosecutor's already actually reached out to your spouse to take a statement so that can be shared with the judge when the judge is making his determination. So I hope that answers your questions, but that's what I can tell you at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to be heard?
My name is Maria Slaybaugh. I live on Stafford Drive. And I certainly appreciate all the comments that you've offered and the color you've provided to us tonight on the legal avenues that are available to the town. And I guess I would just like to say that, as a resident of this town, that it's not good enough. And so to add some color to that, I would like to sort of separate, for my own benefit, the legal avenues, which I understand the limitations, with common sense and what the town does have at its disposal to make this town safer. So I've lived at Stafford Drive for 11 years. My children attend St. Vincent's. They are in 4th grade and 7th grade. And I speak for a lot of St. Vincent's families. There are over 400 children that go to school there who are very fearful and concerned about what's going on with this particular dog. I guess I'd like to make 3 points in regards to, and to add some color to what the feeling is amongst the families and the residents in the area. The first point I'd like to make is in regards to fear. We live around the corner from these vicious dogs, in particular one of them, vicious dog, and it's changed my family. My children, much like some of the other families here, are fearful to walk down the public sidewalks in this town. They're afraid to walk by the house. They're afraid that when I walk down to the train, I might be attacked by this dog, and I don't say this lightly. We are fearful of walking by this dog. My neighbor was viciously attacked. It was not a dog bite in the sense of someone may think of a dog coming by and biting. She was viciously attacked by this dog. And I know that there was one legal incident of a dog bite, but there was also another serious attack and an attempt to go after a young family dropping their kids off at St. Vincent's. So that may not be a legal incident, but it certainly occurred, and it occurred within a month, in fact, within weeks of this other attack. The second point I'd like to make is that if nothing is done, either legally or otherwise, in terms of what is available to this town, another attack will occur. And I say this not lightly, I say this based on the facts. The 2 times that we are aware of the dog getting out and getting loose by not being secured, the dog immediately went after a victim. And so again, the fear comes from the concern that when this dog gets out again, because this house is under construction, and clearly the owners and the construction site are not secured, that there will be another attack. And that is, again, what leads to some of our fear. Once a dog bites, it will bite again. And again, this dog has shown that when it gets loose, it looks for a victim. The owners unfortunately seem to be unable or unwilling to secure the dogs, to muzzle them. Many of us have seen these dogs walking around town past St. Vincent's, again, where children regularly are being dropped off and picked up. They have small leashes on the dogs, and the dogs are aggressive. So unfortunately, we can't count on the owners to even use common sense to muzzle the dogs or to find somewhere else to have them go out for their exercise. So as citizens, we are unable to have the power to take action. And again, I understand legally there may be limitations, but I still call upon the town officials and the police and the mayor to explore other avenues that may not have a legal aspect to them, but have a common sense aspect. What else can be done? If we knew with certainty that a week from today this dog is going to attack again, what would you do as a citizen, as a member of this neighborhood and this community to keep that from happening? So again, I say it's not good enough, and I ask you all, as well as what we would, as citizens could do, is to dig deep and think, is there something else we can do to prevent an attack while the legal avenues run its course? Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said, and we will discuss with our attorneys and others involved, the health department, as to other steps if possible. And we understand the challenge. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Federley, and I live at 67 Green Avenue, and I have a terrible head cold, so excuse me if I cough a few times. Just further to that point that was just made, there's a provision in the code, Township Code, it's section 59-2, and it does seem to give the council authority over this officer, appointing them. They're under the jurisdiction of the health department. They are given specific duties by section F of the code, which doesn't cover the Vicious Dog Act. So in the absence of a animal control officer implementing that provision, it's the chief of police. So I understand that the legal process is going to be handled in the municipal court. We're talking about the impoundment of this dog in the meantime. I do think you have means available to you under the code to have the chief of police go ahead and cause this dog to be impounded. So I would ask that you read that very carefully and determine if there's other avenues to have the dog impounded in the meantime. Thank you.
What this gentleman is referring to is, it says in the absence of an animal control officer, the chief of police could step in. There is an animal control officer, and that's the person who's the licensed professional by the state who handles it under the state law.
But then again,
sir, we're not going to engage in a debate. You spoke. We're not engaging in a debate.
I didn't finish my 3 minutes. If you just read section F, the duties of the ACO are limited to specific statutory provisions, not including the Vicious Dog Act. So you don't have an ACO that covers the Vicious Dog Act.
The
Preferred
ACO
goes back, listen, if we're trying to find a way to impound the dog and you're telling us, oh, our hands are tied because we contracted with Milburn, that's unacceptable to everybody here. And there is an avenue by which you could do this.
Okay, we will take a look at that, and just a clarification on the 3 minutes, that we don't get a conversation going back and forth, so even if you have time left, it doesn't necessarily allow you to come back, but I think you made some good points, and we can look into it and make sure we have taken all the steps we can, and if there is another angle, we'll take it. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we move on to introduction of ordinances.
Okay, the ordinance scheduled for first reading have a hearing date set for Monday, October 27th, 2014. That's ordinance 50, 51, and 52. They'll be published in the Daily Record, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies. Ordinance 53 will be published in the Madison Eagle, and the hearing date is for November 24th.
Okay, I call up ordinances for first reading and ask the Borough Clerk to read said ordinances by title.
Ordinance 50, 2014, an ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 94 of the Borough Code entitled Electric Utility, Appendix B, to increase the reconnection fees.
Mayor, I move ordinance 50-2014.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion.
Any further council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 51-2014.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $45,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for access ramp improvements at the Hartley Dodge Memorial.
Mayor, I move ordinance 51-2014.
I'll second.
Council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Ordinance 52-2014.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $200,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for the Waverly Green Parking Lot Improvements Project.
Mayor, I move ordinance 52-2014.
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Ordinance 53-2014.
Bond ordinance to authorize the funding of a portion of the cost of the rehabilitation of the Madison-Chatham Joint Meetings Molitor Water Pollution Control Facility by and for the Borough of Madison in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,166,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of the bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Mayor, I move ordinance 53-2014.
Mayor, I second the motion.
Council discussion? Just to, for the audience that's left, that 75% of this is at 0%, correct? Okay, roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Consent agenda resolutions.
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move consent agenda resolution R272-2014 through R290-2014.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
I have to abstain on R290, and yes on the others.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes on everything but 290. I'm going to vote no on that.
There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers.
Okay. Public Safety, $187,133.37. Health and Public Assistance, $9,962.81. Public Works and Engineering, $318,185.95. Community Affairs, $10,178.45. Finance and Borough Clerk, $3,489,820.31. And Utilities, $721,671.62. Total is $4,736,952.51.
Mayor, I move the approval of the vouchers.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. Calanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Under new business, I'd like to make the following appointments and request council confirmation. For Utilities Advisory Committee, Joseph Moniz, 213 Main Street, one-year term through December 31st, 2014. And for the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, John Hoover, 17 Overhill Drive, as the DDC rep, unexpired term through December 31st, 2014. And then for the Downtown Development Commission, John Hoover, 17 Overhill Drive, as the Senior Citizen Advisory rep, unexpired term through December 31st, 2014.
I'll move them.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. Calanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Wolkowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes. And with that, I move that we adjourn.
All right, well done, everyone.
And
The resolution on that.
What's a miracle? 9:30. Well, we pulled half the agenda.
It was 290. Hey,
Yeah.